The central parts of South Africa. So basically, the parts that are found in the center of South Africa, more like the central parts of South Africa, are at a high altitude, while the coastal areas are at a lower altitude. Guys, what is altitude, first of all, before we go further? What is altitude? What's the what was the term
Height above
altitude?
sea
Height above
level.
sea level.
Yes, it's the height above sea level, right?
Height above
So,
sea level.
so basically, in simple terms, we can just say it is the height, okay, how high some place is. So the central places or the places found in the center of South Africa, I just use a Trevor's image here because Trevor's image is more better with describing the dimensions here. So this is the South Africa here. Hey, I'm trying my best to trace it here, but whatever. But this is the South Africa, guys. This is the South Africa. And then there's Mozambique there, and then something like this. So basically, South Africa is actually made up from a plateau. So basically, the places such as Johannesburg, places such as Pretoria, places such as Mpumalanga, all of them, they are found on top. They are more like found at a higher altitude or at a higher height compared to the places that you're gonna find where at the other places such as Durban, such as East London, such as Port Elizabeth. All of these coastal areas or all of these areas that are closer to the ocean, basically they are found at a lower altitude or they are found at a lower height. So this diagram, I think it is very good in describing that. You guys can see the diagram clearly, right? Can you guys?
Yes, sir.
So you find places such as Johannesburg here, places such as Johannesburg here, and all of those other places, even Limpopo, Mpumalanga, all of those central places in South Africa, they are found at a higher height. So it's more like they're in a mountainous area on top of a mountain. Then the places that are further away, the ones that are closer to the ocean, I mean, such as Durban, such as East London, such as Port Elizabeth, these places, they are found at a lower altitude. So basically, it's like when you are moving from Johannesburg and you are going to Durban, basically you are coming from a higher place and then you are traveling down towards a lower place. But you guys would never notice that if you are riding by a bus or something, you probably think that the land is flat, but the land is not flat at all. You guys should know that. The land is not flat. The places that are found in the central of South Africa, they are on top. Whereas the places that are found here at the coastal areas or that are found closer to the ocean, they are more like at the bottom or they are at a lower height or lower altitude. Yes, Sam?
So in other words, are you trying to say South Africa, it's like a table mountain, sir?
Yes, South Africa is like a table mountain actually. So basically it might be difficult for us to see this from this view because this view is more like a bit of a top view. So for us to be able to see this properly, we need to be able to construct a side view. So we need to be able to construct a side view. A side view will be the one that will help us see properly how South Africa is like. So basically South Africa is like this. South Africa is like this. Like this. Okay. So this is the side view of the South African land. This is how the land in South Africa looks like when you view it from the side. Which are the places that are found on the top here? Places that are found on the top, we are talking about provinces such as Gauteng province, provinces such as Mpumalanga province, provinces such as Northwest, and all of those provinces, Limpopo, all of these, Limpopo province, all of them, they are found on top, they're at a higher altitude. But as you move towards places such as Durban, you have to move down and down and down and down. So whenever you are going to Durban, you'll find it somewhere here. So KZN province is usually a coastal province. So you'll find it closer to the ocean. So basically, that's how the side view of South Africa looks like. So after this KZN, you know that we need to draw our ocean, to draw our sea or our ocean. So basically, this is our ocean. This is the ocean. In this case, on one side of South Africa or on the eastern side of South Africa, which ocean do we have? What is this ocean? on the eastern side of South Africa? What is the ocean, guys? What is the name of this ocean?
South Indian Ocean.
Yes, it's Indian Ocean. Yes, let's just call it Indian Ocean. So basically, on the eastern part of South Africa, we've got Indian Ocean. Remember, this is east, this is west, this is north, and then this is south. So on the eastern part of South Africa, we have got an Indian Ocean, and then the provinces that you're gonna find next to the Indian Ocean are provinces such as KZN, provinces such as Eastern Cape as well, Eastern Cape province. All of those provinces, they are found at lower altitudes. Okay, so provinces such as KZN, Eastern Cape, all of those provinces, they are found closer to the Indian Ocean. They are at a lower height above sea level. They are at a lower altitude. So if you are driving from Gauteng, maybe you are driving from Johannesburg by bus, and then you are coming to KZN, basically you are going down a mountain, but you don't really realize it because the roads, they seem flat. Okay, the roads seem flat, but actually as you are moving from a province, a central province such as Gauteng province, to a coastal province such as KZN, if you can view this image clearly, okay, it's like you are moving from the top of a mountain and then you are descending down. All those roads such as your N2 and all of those roads that you use to come to these coastal places, you are actually descending down a mountain, or you are traveling down a mountain. So the top of the mountain, we've got provinces such as Johannesburg, Pretoria, Mpumalanga, Limpopo. All of those are central provinces and they're at a higher altitude. They are found on top. But now as you descend or as you move away from these, you actually go down that mountain, or you go down that higher lying area, you go towards a lower lying area. So the places that you're going to find here at the coastal regions, or the places that are closer to the oceans, those ones, they are at a lower height, or they are at the bottom of the mountain in a sense. Yes, Ngoba?
So I wanted to ask Uti here to go Eastern London, Devon, since when we are going to them, we just descend on the mountain, right?
Yes.
So do we experience Amaphone winds, Lapa?
No. How, remember guys, this mountain is not like the mountain that will have the phone winds. Guys, the phone winds from grade 11, they only happen on the what do you call that mountain? But they've got the name, the Himalayas mountain or something like that. But no, we don't include phone winds here. There are no phone winds per se. Yeah, there are no phone winds per se that we study about. Not that they are not at all, but there are no phone winds that we study about. Here, the whole idea that I'm trying to express to you guys is that when you are moving from a province at the center of South Africa and you are moving away and you are going towards a coastal area or towards an area that is closer to the ocean, you are actually descending down a mountain. Same thing with Cape Town as well. You can see, let's say you are moving from a place, let's say you are moving from Johannesburg here and you're going to Cape Town. So this is your Johannesburg here. You guys can all see the Johannesburg, right? This is your Johannesburg. So as you are moving and you are moving and you are moving and you are moving, basically you are descending this mountain for you to end up here at Cape Town. So Cape Town is more like at a lower height. That is why there is a beach in Cape Town, because it's closer to the sea level. It is closer to the ocean level, basically. So you would say that it is at a lower altitude in geography terms. So do you guys understand how the structure of South Africa is built?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so now let's just complete our side view or our side profile of this South Africa of ours. Okay, so if we look carefully at our side profile, on one side we've got the Indian Ocean. What about the other side, guys? When we go to the other side of South Africa, which ocean are we gonna have when we go to the other side, to the western side of South Africa? Yes, David. Okay, yes, Gedalia. Who's Gedalia? Isn't it David? Or am I getting the name wrong?
You're getting the name wrong, sir.
What is the name?
Atlantic.
Okay. All right. I'll call you Blatic then. So this is the other ocean here. So on the other side. Okay. So on the other side here we've got this other ocean. What is the name of the ocean? Blatic.
Sir, I was naming the ocean, not saying my name is Atlantic.
Oh, okay. Oh, Atlantic. All right. Awesome. What's your name, Ketali?
Yeah, my name is Gedalia.
Oh, Gedalia. Okay, but I don't remember registering someone with the name Gedalia. You gave me wrong names there, but it's fine. So,
no, this one is a fake name, sir.
Oh, it's a fake name. Okay, awesome. So we'll call you with your fake name then, if you prefer it the most. So this is the Atlantic Ocean. So on one side we've got the Indian Ocean, and on the other side we've got the Atlantic Ocean. So you guys can see here on the western side of South Africa, the ocean that we have is the Atlantic Ocean. This is the Atlantic Ocean. So which provinces are closer to the Atlantic Ocean, guys? Which provinces are closer to the Atlantic Ocean? Yes, Sam.
Northwest.
Northwest is somewhat closer, but not that much closer, is it? Places such as Mafikeng. Is Mafikeng closer to the Atlantic Ocean?
No,
Is it? Is it, guys? You guys should know your land, should know your country, guys. Is Northwest a coastal province, or is it closer to the ocean? Or it's central?
I was trying my luck. I'm not sure.
Okay, so Northwest, guys, is next to Mpumalanga. Northwest is next to Mpumalanga. It's not coastal. I think it's not coastal. Yeah. What's coastal is the Western Cape province. That's the coastal province that we find near the Atlantic Ocean. We are talking about places such as Cape Town, places such as Knysna, places such as Mossel Bay. All of those places, they are closer to the Atlantic Ocean. So Western Cape is a coastal province. Western Cape is a coastal province indeed, but I'm not sure for Northwest, because places in Northwest such as Mafikeng, they're like closer to Botswana, closer to Namibia. So I doubt they are coastal. I've never heard of a beach in Northwest, by the way. Yeah. So basically, let's just consider Western Cape so far. So do you guys now see the structure of the land in South Africa in a side view?
yes, sir.
Yes, so when you are moving from provinces such as Mpumalanga, Northwest, Limpopo, and Gauteng, you have to go down the same mountain again, but you are going to the western part, right? That's why you go to a Western Cape instead of an Eastern Cape. That's how the names of the provinces came to be, guys, if you didn't know. But yeah, so now my question is, guys, this place that you are descending, this path or this road that is leading down the mountain, what is the road that is leading down the mountain? What is it known as, this path? Yes, that's known as the escarpment. That is the great escarpment that I told you guys to look at. So this path between the top, the highline areas such as Gauteng province and Pretoria, Kimberley, Bloemfontein, everything that is central there. Basically, as you are descending and you are descending and you are descending, you are descending down the escarpment. So this path whereby you descend from the highline area or the central part of South Africa to the coastal areas of South Africa is known as the escarpment. So that's your escarpment. So whenever you hear me talking about escarpment, we're talking about such an area. So do you guys now see the structure of our land?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, let me talk about temperature now, guys. The temperature in the central places, is it going to be high or lower compared to the coastal places, to the coastal areas? Which one is going to be higher?
The one in central is going to be high.
It's going to be low. Yeah.
Is lower. So here, in places that are central in South Africa, we experience lower temperatures. Why do we experience lower temperatures, Trev?
Because it is more above sea level than the areas that are in coastal.
Than the coastal areas.
Coastal.
Yeah, so basically, the higher you go, you guys already know this from grade 8, the higher you go, the colder it becomes. So when you are at a place like KZN, you are not going to feel that much cold as much as you will if you are in Gauteng province. So basically, the higher you go, the colder it becomes. So places such as Gauteng province, Mpumalanga, Northwest and Limpopo, those ones, they have got very cold winters compared to places such as KZN. I myself, I'm in KZN, I can tell you guys, we never experience any strong winter here. You can even go out with your shorts even if it's June. But in Gauteng, you don't do that. In Johannesburg, it's like it freezes below 0 degrees Celsius. So basically, that's because they are at a higher lying area. So places such as Gauteng province, Mpumalanga is even, okay, Gauteng is even worse than Mpumalanga is also cold as well. Okay, even Northwest is cold. Limpopo is usually hot indeed for reasons. It's hot for some reasons, but basically Nakona, it does become cold during winter at some point because it is found at a higher lying area. Are we guys getting the sense? Yes,
Yes, sir.
I wanna ask the question.
Yes.
On KZN, we understand why we experience high temperatures because of we are at a low escarpment. Am I right?
Yes, we're at a lower altitude indeed. Yeah.
Lower altitude. Then also the South Atlantic Ocean, it brings warm air. And I'm concerned about this side on the Atlantic Ocean. We know that area, the ocean just gives a cold wind. So how come it becomes it becomes like high temperatures, but the Atlantic gives a cold wind?
Well, usually for Western Cape, for these places closer to the Atlantic Ocean, it is very cold. It was not warm. I was just talking for KZN and Eastern Cape because they are closer to a warm ocean, which is the Indian Ocean. But places such as Western Cape, there's even snow in Western Cape, if you didn't know. So it's not warm per se. But for us to be able to compare this thing of warmth and height, it's better for us to compare KZN with the central provinces. We know that definitely in KZN is going to be warmer because we're at a lower altitude. But in Gauteng it's going to be what? It's going to be colder because we're at a high altitude. But as for Western Cape, you guys already know that Western Cape is feeling the effect of the South Atlantic anticyclone. So basically, it is definitely going to be a cold place. That is why there's even snow in Western Cape. There are many other weather factors, low pressure systems such as the mid-latitude cyclone. All of them, they are affecting Western Cape. So let's try our best to not make the comparison based on it. That is why in your exams, most of the times, you're going to see they're only going to show you the side where there's an Indian Ocean. Okay, so let's just consider a side profile where we are looking at the Indian Ocean only on that side. This side, Yaga Western Cape, there are many other factors that are causing it to be colder. Okay?
Yes.
Yeah, but nonetheless, guys, from this side view, you guys must be able to plot the position of the anticyclones. So guys, you know that at the Atlantic Ocean, we are supposed to find the South Atlantic anticyclone. So basically here on the Atlantic Ocean, we must find the South Atlantic anticyclone. So I will say SAA. You guys already know that, South Atlantic anticyclone. And then on the side of the Indian Ocean, what is the low pressure cell? What is the high pressure cell that we must find on the side of the Indian Ocean? Is South Indian anticyclone. So here by the Indian Ocean, we expect to have the South Indian anticyclone or the South Indian high pressure cell. Okay, yes, Sam, what's your question?
So since this air from a cyclone also on the land, sir, so there is going to be a convergence, sir, in the middle of the land.
No. Let's, before we get there are many factors that we need to study before we get to how convergence takes place. But I like your enthusiasm. Let's hear about the central in the land, on the continent, or on the land, on the central part of South Africa. What anticyclone are we supposed to have, Telmo?
So I want to ask a question.
Okay.
Okay, the places on top, right, where you wrote lower temperature, when you go down, going down there by the Indian Ocean, the temperatures, they increase, right?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they do increase. You guys, I should actually take you to a tour one day, and I want you guys to travel from Gauteng to KZN and feel the difference there, like literally. But what anticyclone do we see? Do we know of, like in the middle of the land, like here, in the middle of the land? Yes, Yanova.
Kalahari anticyclone, say.
Yes, so we must find a Kalahari anticyclone or a Kalahari high pressure cell. So this is known as a Kalahari, because remember guys, the Kalahari high pressure cell or the Kalahari anticyclone, it is found on the land, whereas the other anticyclones, they are found on the ocean. On the Atlantic Ocean, we've got a South Atlantic anticyclone. On the Indian Ocean, we've got a South Indian anticyclone. So now let me introduce you to something new. So now below the Kalahari anticyclone or below the Kalahari high pressure cell, we always have this layer of air, this warm layer of air here. Below the what? Below the Kalahari. It's always found below the Kalahari anticyclone or below the Kalahari high pressure cell. This layer is known as the invasion layer. So after 10 minutes, we'll come back and talk about the invasion layer. What is the invasion layer, and what is the invasion layer and what effect does it have on the weather in South Africa? So just note that guys, below the Kalahari anticyclone or below the Kalahari high pressure cell, we always have got a layer of warm air known as the invasion layer. So you guys will come back and tell me, what do you think the invasion layer is? This layer. Okay, let's go for the 10 minutes break. We'll come back using the same link, of course.
Hey Lapo, I know that you've been enjoying this wonderful video and most likely you've been enjoying watching this handsome face in front of you, but sorry ladies, I'm taken. I just here to tell you that Educate is on the road to 100,000 subscribers by the end of 2025. So please click the subscribe button and click the notification bell so that you get notifications whenever I post new videos. I want you guys to pass. Okay, so if you make my dream true, I reach 100k subscribers, I will make your dreams come true. I will even get you to varsity. I will get you with 7 distinctions. Yes.
So guys, when we went to the break, I gave you a hint a bit to investigate about the invasion layer that is found below the Kalahari anticyclone. So what did you guys find? Let's hear some.
Well, sir, let me start defining what is a invasion layer. In my own understanding, as you have told us, sir, I think it is a layer, it is air near the ground becomes colder, then the warm air rises above that layer, or in simple terms I can just say a blanket of warm air.
Okay, so it's just a belt of warm air. Okay, that's one way of putting things. That's a wonderful way of putting things. Yes, Mukobe.
Invasion layer, I think, is a layer of air in which temperature increases with altitude.
Awesomeness. Yes, Angova. So yes, you guys are right indeed. The invasion layer is simply the layer that consists of warm air, and the temperature increases with an increase in height. Okay, so basically this layer is found below the Kalahari high pressure cell. So I'm now going to say that this is my plateau, this is my central plateau. The plateau is basically the land that is above, where you find provinces such as Gauteng and whatnot. And then this is the escarpment. This is us going down the escarpment, and then if we continue going down the escarpment, remember here we've got the Indian Ocean. If it's on the eastern side. And we said that here we have got the South Indian high pressure cell, with a South Indian high pressure cell or a South Indian anticyclone. Similarly, on the other side, although we usually don't talk of the other side, the western side of South Africa, where we have the Atlantic Ocean and the provinces such as Western Cape, we already know that here we have a South Atlantic anticyclone. And just refreshing your minds on what you know. And now I told you guys that on top now of the land, or on the land, we find the Kalahari high pressure cell or the Kalahari anticyclone, and below the Kalahari high pressure cell or the Kalahari anticyclone, we have got an invasion layer. And now you guys told me that the invasion layer, it is basically the layer of warm air in which the temperature increases with height. Can I ask guys, does temperature ever increase with height? According to what you have learned? No, it doesn't, right? According to what you have learned in your previous grades, you know that the higher you go, the colder it becomes. So as you go higher, the colder it becomes. Alright, so you already know that if you're at a lower height, it is more warmer, and if you continue climbing the mountain and go up the mountain, it's going to be colder and colder. But in the invasion layer, it is quite the opposite. That's why we say it's known as an invasion layer. You guys are doing mathematics. You know what inverse means, right? Inverse means opposite. It does opposite of the actual thing. So we know that the temperature must decrease as we increase in altitude. That is the standard. Because basically when we are going up and going up and going up, our temperature must decrease. But in the invasion layer, it is quite the opposite. When you go up in the invasion layer, the temperature of the air in this invasion layer is just a layer that is consisting of warm air, right? So basically the temperature in this air, it is what? It increases as you go up with height. So with an increase in height or with an increase in altitude, what happens in the invasion layer? The temperature increases. So you only find out that here, let's just say this is your invasion layer. I'm just going to zoom it in. This is your invasion layer. Okay, so you only find out that the air that you're gonna find here at this point, let me just use a better color there. So the air that you're gonna find at this point, you're gonna find out that your temperature of the air is probably something like 25 degrees Celsius. And then if you keep on going high up within the invasion layer, the air becomes warmer and warmer. So the air becomes warmer and warmer, meaning that if I'm going to evaluate the air that I have here, it's going to have a higher temperature than the one below it. So the layer of air that I'm going to have here maybe is going to be something like a more than 25 degrees Celsius. It's going to be something like a maybe 30 degrees Celsius. Do you see that is increasing as we increase in altitude or as we increase the height? If we keep on increasing the height again, we now go to the air above it, you only find out that would be greater than 30 degrees Celsius. Total will be something like 35 degrees Celsius, okay? Maybe it will be something like 35 degrees Celsius. So do you realize that, guys, within the invasion layer, the temperature of the air increases as we increase in height or in altitude. So as we go high up in the invasion layer, temperature increases. That's why we say it's known as a temperature invasion. It does the opposite of what we are used to. Okay, because what we are used to, Tina, we are used to the fact that the temperature becomes colder and colder, or it decreases as we go up or as we increase the height above sea level. That is what we know from your previous grades. But within the invasion layer, the opposite is true. Yes, Yangoba.
So you're saying with the inside of the invasion layer, the more the invasion layer goes up, it increases temperature inside of the invasion layer.
Yes, inside of the invasion layer.
Okay.
Yes, so inside of the invasion layer, I'm just zooming it in here. Remember, inside of the invasion layer, the air becomes warmer and warmer as you go up. But when you get out of the invasion layer, it will just go back to the normal. So this invasion layer, it is found below the Kalahari high pressure cell. So usually the Kalahari high pressure cell, it has got an anti-clockwise circulation of air, right? So basically the air descends. It descends in this direction. Usually you see diagrams such as this to show that the air is descending or the air is subsiding. So basically the Kalahari high pressure cell, it consists of cold air, and that air, it descends. So here in the Kalahari high pressure cell, it always blows some cold descending air, and this air descends and goes to the ground. Cold descending air. So above the invasion layer, you are most likely to see arrows like this. Arrows like this, they are just trying to say that we've got some cold air that is sinking or cold air that is subsiding. Where is this cold air coming from? It is coming from the Kalahari high pressure cell or the Kalahari anticyclone. So you should know that, guys, above the invasion layer, we expect to have cold descending air. Do not mind the directions here specifically. This is not drawn to any scale. So this is cold descending air or cold subsiding air. We always find cold subsiding air or cold descending air above the invasion layer. Do you guys see that?
Yes, sir.
Yes, so this cold subsiding air, it is coming from the Kalahari high pressure cell. It is being blown by the Kalahari high pressure cell. Okay, awesome. So now let us now look at how the okay, yes, Yanoma.
I wanted to ask Uti, and the Kalahari high pressure cell, isn't it inside of the plateau?
It is inside of the plateau. Not
So,
okay. What do you mean inside? First of all, yeah.
I'm saying on the top and inside of the plateau, like.
No, it is above the plateau. It is on the top of the plateau. It is on the top of us as humans right now, and on the top of our ground. Let's say here you are staying in Joburg or Mpumalanga or whatever central province. You are staying here.
Yeah.
Above you, there is a Kalahari high pressure cell.
Oh, okay. So how do we have the Kalahari high pressure cell? Give a cold air to invasion layer, but the invasion layer is above the Kalahari cell.
Invasion layer is not above the Kalahari cell. Invasion layer is always below. It is always under the invasion layer. And so we have the Kalahari here on top, and then below the Kalahari high pressure, we have this layer of air where the temperature increases with altitude. That is the invasion layer. So basically, the Kalahari high pressure cell always works with the invasion layer. So below the Kalahari high pressure cell or under the Kalahari, because you guys can see this is the Kalahari here. Let me re-highlight it. It is high above in the clouds, high above in the clouds. Below this Kalahari high pressure cell or below this Kalahari anticyclone, there is a layer that consists of warm air in which the temperature increases with height, exactly as I've expressed here. So basically, below the Kalahari high pressure cell, that's where we have the invasion layer.
Okay.
Yes. So yeah, that is how we have it. So what's most important is for you guys to be able to recognize where the invasion layer is and where the Kalahari high pressure is during winter and during summer. Now I'll ask you one more time. According to what I've taught you based on anticyclones, when is or let's just say during which season is the Kalahari high pressure cell or the Kalahari anticyclone dominant? During which season?
Winter.
Yes, it's winter, right? So basically, during the winter season, we expect the Kalahari high pressure cell to be closer to the land. That is what we mean, because when I introduced these high pressure cells or these anticyclones, I say that your Kalahari high pressure cell or your Kalahari anticyclone, what happens to it? It is dominant in winter, means that it is closer to the land during winter. So basically, during winter, we expect our Kalahari high pressure cell or our Kalahari anticyclone to be closer to the land. It must be closer to the land. It will be something like this. These are the two pictures representing winter and representing summer. Okay, look at these two diagrams very carefully. Observe them and tell me between diagram number 1 and diagram number 2, in which one would represent the winter season, which one would represent the summer season? Yes, Sam.
The first diagram say it will represent winter. The second diagram will represent summer.
Okay, let's hear from you. Why?
It's because of check on a high pressure. A high pressure on the first diagram. It's on a invention layer, man. So it's on a directly to the ocean. Therefore, yeah.
Okay. Or the dog's high pressure is closer to the land. The dog's high pressure. Which high pressure is closer to the land here?
Kalahari, sir.
Yes, guys, whenever you explain, geography is a subject where you guys have to explain clearly and crystal clear. When you're explaining here, guys, the Kalahari high pressure cell or the Kalahari anticyclone is closer to the land. This is the evidence that this is definitely winter. If you compare these two diagrams, your Kalahari high pressure cell, you can see that this is the land. It's more like this is your plateau. So I will say this is my plateau. Okay, this is where you find areas such as Gauteng, Mpumalanga, all of those central areas in South Africa. That's your plateau. So here at the plateau, you can see that your Kalahari high pressure cell is way closer to the plateau compared to the second image. In the second image, do you see that this is the plateau? This is the plateau, and it is far away in this case. Your Kalahari high pressure cell, it is high above the plateau. It is high above the plateau in the escarpment. It is far away from the land. So we already told you already during winter, the Kalahari high pressure cell is dominant in winter. It means that the Kalahari high pressure cell or the Kalahari anticyclone, it is closer to the land in winter than in summer. Yes, Trevor?
Okay, so ngifuna ukonfirmele into lengicabangayo nese. Right to wrong.
Yes.
Okay, se uyabona la ku-winter lana se angiyazi ukuthi ku-winter sizoba nama dry season stable conditions kahle kahle nese.
Yes.
So thina la esiku plateau. So ngifuna ukuzisa yabona ama countries la checka la. Abona ama countries la aku coastal la akuma coastal uyabona se.
Yeah, ama coastal areas.
Le ukuthi iblocker yeah. During winter, uyayibona invasion leyo ukuthi iblocker i-warm moist air ukuthi ingene lapha kuma-plateau. So kahle i-warm moist air le isala la kuma-coastal areas. So into kahle ngabe ngi-right uma ngithi mina kahle ama-country akuma-coastal areas during winter bona they experience wet conditions and rainfalls.
Yes, definitely. That's why, guys, I told you, see, winter in KZN is not the same as winter in Gauteng. Winter in KZN, there's rain in winter. There's just rain in winter. There are wet conditions. Sometimes it gets warm in winter. You can even get out with your short. It doesn't get that much cold, okay? And also the conditions, they are not as stable as they are in Gauteng. Just like last year when I was visiting someone in Gauteng, like I came from here, like it was very, I was even wearing a short-sleeved t-shirt from KZN. And then the moment I got to Gauteng, I had to wear like 2 jerseys on top just because of the variation. It was in winter, by the way. Here, winter in the coastal areas basically is not that cold, number one. And it's not dry. There are no dry conditions. Basically, there is rainfall in winter in these areas for that reasons. That is what you're going to look at exactly, Trevor, after this. Yes, Yanova?
So I want to ask, Lucy, I have an imagination. So
Imagine.
if the Kalahari high pressure, it's where we see in summer was available. If the Kalahari pressure in summer was available, the invasion layer will start to be having waves.
Waves.
Yeah, because remember, if Kalahari high pressure is available na to summer, be blower cold air towards the invasion layer, and dangalana what you call here Indian Ocean blower warm air. So if kuhlangana lama air two.
Oh, you mean the wave you mean the wave like the one in at the polar front in the mid-latitude cyclone?
Yes.
Oh, that's a very good imagination. Although that doesn't happen per se, basically the air below the invasion layer, it will just remain below the invasion layer. Then the air above the invasion layer will just remain above the invasion layer. It's more like the invasion layer is separating them and it is solid, and the air will never mix. Kind of something like this. There will never be a mixture. There will never be a cyclone that is formed there. But yeah, that's a wonderful imagination. Shows enough that you understand a mid-latitude cyclone. Okay, but nonetheless, guys, let us complete this winter versus the summer conditions from the side view. Okay, so let's start with winter, right? So during winter, the Kalahari high pressure cell, it is closer to the land. That is what I said first. It is dominant during winter because it is closer to the land. So basically, when the Kalahari high pressure cell is closer to the land, remember guys that below the Kalahari high pressure cell, that's where we find the invasion layer. So the Kalahari high pressure cell, it blows some cold subsiding air. So the air that is found above the invasion layer that is being blown by this Kalahari high pressure cell, it is some cold and it is subsiding. So it is cold and it is sinking. It is cold and it is sinking, cold subsiding air. So this cold subsiding air, as the Kalahari high pressure cell descends or as it gets closer to the land, it is pushing this invasion layer down as well. That is why your invasion layer, you can see that it is actually at the escarpment. So during winter, the invasion layer, it is at the escarpment because this is your invasion layer. You guys will see the invasion layer, this belt-like structure. This is your invasion layer. Are you guys all seeing it?
Yes, sir.
Yes, so your invasion layer is way closer to the land. It is at the escarpment, basically. So the Kalahari high pressure cell here, it is very closer to the land, and the invasion layer, it is at the escarpment. It is at the escarpment. Now, this invasion layer, it actually blocks the warm, moist air from the Indian Ocean from entering into the land. So basically, warm moist air cannot be able to pass through an invasion layer. So the invasion layer also blocks, or it also distracts, or it also prevents this warm moist air. Because remember guys that this South Indian anticyclone or the South Indian high pressure, it is the one that blows some warm moist air from the Indian Ocean to where? Towards the land. But this warm moist air that is coming from the Indian Ocean, or you can say that is coming from the South Atlantic, South Indian anticyclone, this warm moist air, it cannot get to the land. Why is that? It is being blocked. What is blocking it? It is the invasion layer. Why is the invasion layer blocking it? Because the invasion layer is way closer to, it is now at the escarpment basically. So it's more like it's blocking. It is blocking this air as it attempts to get to the plateau. As this warm moist air attempts to get to places such as Gauteng, places such as Mpumalanga, all of those places. So basically, this invasion layer, it is blocking that warm moist air. So basically, during winter, the invasion layer blocks the warm moist air from the Indian Ocean from entering, or it prevents the warm moist air from the Indian Ocean from entering into the land or from reaching the plateau. Because remember guys, the plateau, we are talking about the top of the mountain, the top of the mountainous areas. Are we guys clear on that?
Yes, sir.
So basically, you guys need to remember, okay, yes, tell more.
So the air that's being like blocked by the invasion layer, will it like be on the places that are like around the area?
Yes, the coastal areas. Yes, the air will be on the coastal areas because they are not they are not blocked. Okay. Guys, am I cutting? I hear Nkosinati saying that he cannot hear me properly. Am I cutting or is it his network?
No, so we can hear you.
Oh, Nkosinati, try to fix your network. It might be from your side. Yeah, it might be from your side. Okay. So basically, guys, this Kalahari high pressure cell, it is just some cold descending air, and it keeps on descending and it keeps on descending. Basically, guys, the Kalahari high pressure cell is kind of filling this entire place. So just imagine it as something that is only here above the ocean. It is above the entire plateau. So here, all of these places, they are having some cold air coming from the Kalahari high pressure. But it's just that this is not drawn to scale. It's just for illustration purposes. So do you guys now see that here, the warm moist air from the Indian Ocean, it is being blocked by the invasion layer, but it is able to reach the coastal areas such as KZN, of course, areas that are closer to the Indian Ocean, areas such as KZN, Eastern Cape, East London, all of those areas that are found here, the coastal areas, they do still get this warm moist air from the Indian Ocean. Hence, they are able to have rainfall and all of those warm weather conditions, even though it's winter. But as for places like Gauteng, Mpumalanga, Limpopo, all of those central places, they experience those dry conditions. Why? It's because this warm moist air that is supposed to be able to create rain on the land, it is being blocked. It's not able to reach the land. So basically, the invasion layer, it blocks warm moist air from the Indian Ocean from reaching the land. Please, from reaching the land, or you can say from reaching the plateau. And then now you guys need to remember that we just have got cold descending air from the Kalahari high pressure cell. Basically, this cold descending air from the Kalahari high pressure cell, it becomes warmer as it descends. So you guys know that if you are going up, it becomes colder. Like the higher you go, the colder it becomes. Okay, but if you are going down, the opposite will be true, meaning that the lower you go, the air will become what? Will become warmer. So this air that is descending from the Kalahari high pressure cell, or this air that is sinking from the Kalahari high pressure cell, basically it becomes warmer and warmer as it descends. So as it sinks from this Kalahari high pressure cell, as it sinks or as it descends, what does it do? It warms up adiabatically. What does the term adiabatic warming mean? When you say that something warms up adiabatically as it descends over the land, what does it mean? Yes, Mugobe?
In my opinion, I think the cold air does not warm up completely.
Okay, that's one way of saying things. Of course, let's hear from Tahato.
So I think that the air loses moisture.
Okay, yeah, that's it loses moisture. All right. I wonder if it had moisture from above. Yes, Trevor.
Sir, it means that the sinking air gains heat as it sinks down. It gains heat.
Well, yeah, that's just heating without the adiabatic. I wanted the adiabatic part. So adiabatic warming simply means that air compresses. So here, when air compresses, so basically, when you say that air is warming up adiabatically, it means that there is compression. That's the first thing. There is compression of air. Do you guys know what compression is?
No, sir.
Compression simply means that the air is like what can I say? It's like coming together. It is coming together like compression. Like imagine you are taking something and you are squeezing it in your hand. That's compressing something in a sense. So similarly, the air compresses as it descends. So as the air compresses as it descends, it will start gaining heat. That's adiabatic warming. So the main point of adiabatic warming, it simply means that air compresses as it warms up. Yeah, and it descends. So basically this cold subsiding air from the Kalahari high pressure cell, it is compressing, and as it is compressing, it becomes warmer and warmer and warmer. Yes, ASM.
So in other words, are you trying to say into cold subsiding air from winter, meaning than from cold air in summer, that is why it's able to suppress invasion layers?
Yes, so basically the cold air from the Kalahari high pressure cell during winter, it is the one that is pushing the invasion layer downwards. But in summer, the cold subsiding air from the Kalahari high pressure cell, it is weak. It is not that strong. It is just weak. That is why the invasion layer is high up there. But you can only understand that when we now do the summer conditions. So this cold subsiding air, guys, it compresses as it descends. So as it descends, it compresses, causing it to start increasing heat. That is known as adiabatic warming. So basically, guys, does warm air ever create some clouds? Can warm air ever create clouds?
Yes.
No, sir.
No.
Yes.
No, the cold air, guys, the cold air is becoming warmer and warmer and warmer and warmer. Can it ever create clouds in that way?
Cold.
Guys, for us to create clouds, warm air must rise and it must cool down and become colder and colder and colder until it condenses to form a what? To form a cloud. That's how we are able to have clouds. We have got warm air that rises and it becomes cool and cool and cool. When it has become that cool, it will start forming the clouds. That's how we have clouds. But when we are having cold air that is descending and it is becoming warmer and warmer and warmer as it descends, it can never create clouds, guys. Air can only create clouds if it becomes colder and colder and colder and cool. That's why we say that when it rises, when the warm moist air rises, it cools and it cools until it condenses to form clouds, to form water droplets, which will become clouds later on. So basically, this cold subsiding air, it is warming up as it descends. It is becoming warmer and warmer adiabatically. Okay, so it's becoming warmer and warmer adiabatically. So it can never create clouds. It can never be able to form clouds, or it can never condense to form clouds. That's why we'll end up having some dry conditions, some clear conditions, and stable conditions over the land. Because remember, guys, that the cold air that descends, it is stable. It results in stable conditions, number one. Number two, it results in clear conditions because it cannot form clouds. When we're talking about clear conditions, we're talking about the cloud cover. If the cloud cover is overcast, if there's a lot of cumulonimbus clouds in the atmosphere, in the higher atmosphere, that's when you say that you're going to have overcast conditions or wet conditions. But here we're having dry conditions. They are clear conditions. We don't have any clouds. Why don't we have any clouds? Because as this cold air subsides, this cold air coming from the Kalahari high pressure cell, as it subsides going over the land and going over the land, it is not cooling. It is becoming warmer and warmer adiabatically. And it can never form clouds in that way. That's why during winter, we are having dry conditions, there are clear skies, and the conditions are stable. So in winter, that's why in Gauteng's winter and Mpumalanga's winter, they are just cold winters. They are clear winters. We don't have rainfall in winter. It's less likely to happen to have rainfall in winter. Okay? Are we guys together?
Yes, we're together.
Okay, what about summer? Let's look at summer conditions. It's just the opposite of what you had in winter. the Kalahari high pressure cell is far away from the land, or you can say it is high above the plateau. Basically, the Kalahari high pressure cell is far away from the land, or it is high above the plateau. Here is your Kalahari high pressure cell. It is like up there, away from the land, very far away from the land. So basically, the air, there's still some cold descending air coming from the Kalahari high pressure cell. Vela the Kalahari high pressure cell, it always blows some cold air, and this cold air is always descending, continuously descending and continuously descending. But now this cold descending air, it is way weaker. It is weaker. So that's what you can add, guys, to say that during summer, the cold descending air from the Kalahari high pressure cell, it is weaker. So during summer, the cold descending air from the high pressure cell, the Kalahari high pressure cell, it is weaker. Okay, so this actually causes the invasion layer and all of the Kalahari high pressure cell to go up above the land. So that's why here you can see that our Kalahari high pressure cell, it is far away from the land. Do you guys see that?
Yes, sir.
Yes, so we are having an invasion layer, but our invasion layer is no longer at the escarpment like in winter. Instead, it is up there. It is above the plateau as well, or it is above the land, basically. Or you can say it's above the escarpment. All of them, they are correct and acceptable. So basically, your invasion layer is above the escarpment, is above the plateau. That's one other point that you can add. That's during summer. And then, because of that, the warm moist air from the Indian Ocean, it can be able to get inside the land. It can be able to blow inside the land and get to places such as Gauteng and whatnot. So basically, this warm moist air can get inside the land because it is no longer blocked by the invasion layer. Remember, in winter, guys, the warm moist air was not able to penetrate the land, or it was not able to enter into the land because it was being blocked by what? By the invasion layer. But now the invasion layer is way up there, so the warm moist air from the Indian Ocean, it is able to enter the land successfully. So warm moist air from the Indian Ocean enters the land, or you can say that the warm moist air, it is no longer blocked by the invasion layer. That's one thing you can mention. So the warm moist air is no longer blocked in summer. Is no longer blocked by the invasion layer because the invasion layer is now high up. It is now high above the land. It is now high above the plateau. Do you guys get me?
Yes, sir.
And then now, when this warm moist air gets to the land, or it gets to the plateau, gets to the places such as Gauteng, that warm moist air will start rising. So this warm moist air will rise, because remember, guys, that the warm moist air has a tendency to rise. Whether it is rising as it is coming from the Indian Ocean going to the plateau, it is rising basically. So basically, this warm moist air, it rises, it cools. Remember, guys, that as it rises and goes into the upper atmosphere, it becomes cooler and cooler and cooler. And that's when it will be able to form the clouds. That invasion layer, guys, is not able to block it. The invasion layer is far above here. The invasion layer is far above, so it's not really able to block the warm moist air. So this warm moist air can successfully cool and condense to form some clouds there, cumulonimbus clouds usually. Okay, and then these cumulonimbus clouds will result in some wet conditions. So we will have wet conditions. Simply means that we have got some rainfall, or we are having like unstable conditions that are occurring over the land. So these unstable conditions that occur over the land, they are due to what? They are due to this warm moist air that rises, because warm moist air is allowed to rise now because it was able to enter the land successfully. But in winter, it was being blocked by the invasion layer. Hence, it was not able to enter the land. So do you understand now, guys, why in summer we've got rainfall? We like doing the hello summer things, and we do all of those things. It's warm conditions, warm weather, like rainfall. Do you guys now understand why it's like that in summer?
Yes, sir.
Okay, let's go for the last 10 minutes break, guys. When we come back, we'll be looking at a couple of traveling disturbances. Let's just take a 10 minutes break. You come back on traveling disturbances.